Hello everyone, it is Cece and this is Raw Honey. I actually do not know what episode, which is for the best because I want us to not focus on the numbers. Yes, we talked about that. Okay, well, I hope that everyone has had a great week so far, and it's only about 3/4 through the week. I think if most military posts have a 4-day. I don't know if that goes across the board. That's just how my area is. But if you do, awesome. Super exciting. But I have a cool life moment to speak on today. And I created a cool sort of, I wouldn't say cool, I feel like cool kind of cheapens it. I would say just a good visual for sort of a way to communicate with people, and kind of a mixture on like learning about boundaries and also learning how to make sure those boundaries aren't, or at least from my experience, finding sort of humility in those boundaries, because I will explain it, because I feel like every time I try to give a summary I explain the entire thing. So I will start with the beginning. So the reason this came up, this understanding of, or this sort of area where I needed to enact my boundaries, was just a conversation with someone, and sort of what I was going through, or the stages I am in my life, in a certain area of my life, was really triggering for her, because she had been through a similar thing, and trauma just, and trauma doesn't have to be related to sexual trauma. Trauma is a car wreck or all these different things. Trauma creates triggers in us that usually come out when you're not expecting it, especially at first, because you don't really know that you always are traumatized until you start seeing the effects after with the triggers. So this person was pretty triggered by sort of what phase, a certain thing, a decision that I was making in my life. And so they were trying to talk to me about it, and they talked to me and they were just really upset and really afraid, and sort of telling me like it was all because of what I was doing here, and in this decision I was making. And I was pretty like irritated in the moment. I couldn't like completely figure out why. But as I started to think about it more and talk to my friends and stuff, trying to understand why it was bothering me so much, I kind of realized that like this person had gone through something, and sort of taken steps toward a certain decision in her life, and me doing that, going down that same path, not necessarily being bad, just sort of the stages, you go down in really a relationship, with someone else, the sort of the steps that you take in that relationship. Where was I going with that? Oh my gosh. The steps you take in a relationship. Oh my gosh. No, I can't have it during a podcast, right? Okay, starting over. She was triggered because she had gone through this before, and it didn't end in a way that she was happy about it. It ended up being pretty traumatizing for her. So to see me go down those same steps, not that they're bad steps, they're just steps in a relationship, to see me go down them was triggering. And she was speaking to me with a lot of this fear, and I kind of like took a couple of steps back, and she was speaking to other people about sort of this fear too, just trying to, we're always trying to understand our emotions, and usually affirmation from other people seems like it's gonna make you more sure of yourself, and sort of convince yourself that you're right on it. But a lot of the times other people sort of really fog that understanding of yourself. And you gave a lot of your fear to them. So that was sort of what I reflected on with her, is I was like, I don't think this is about me. And I sort of saw these boundaries, start to form, and I was like, I can't take on those emotions because I'm not feeling those things that she's feeling. And at the end of the day, it's decisions I'm making in my path here. And if I'm not feeling the same way as her, and I'm not even understanding where her feelings are coming from in my shoes at all, I feel like that's sort of when you start to bring up those boundaries, and it's like, I can't carry this for you because that's not me. These aren't mine. And her and I talked about it, and we also talked about her telling other people, trying to affirm it with other people, and sort of this whole concept of like, how are we looking back at ourselves and reflecting on our feelings and taking responsibility for our emotions, so that you don't sort of become a wrecking ball, an emotional wrecking ball for other people. So her and I kind of created this interesting like visual of like a one-sided mirror. So the boundaries you create sort of go up around you like a one-sided mirror. So you're looking through the mirror at someone else, someone that's usually, think to you, or maybe telling you how like they're afraid for you and all these different feelings they're feeling. And you're looking at them, and they think they're looking at you, but they're actually looking at themselves. Or your boundaries allow them to look at themselves and allow them to sort of have the space. You give them the space to experience what they're feeling, but you don't carry that, and you don't let them put it onto you at the same time. So the mirror aspect of it is they're really looking at themselves, and you're helping them do that, helping them take responsibility for their feelings, but you're also, the humility you have and sort of the ability to take a step back comes from you being inside the boundary, looking at them, reflecting and looking at themselves when they're, feeling this pain, because, our immediate response to be defensive, right? Most people, it's like, ooh, ouch, that hurts, like, why are you fighting at me? And it's, you take a deep breath, and you kind of, you start to see them through that mirror where you're watching them, really put that pain back toward themselves, because they're the ones that are feeling those things. Those aren't your feelings. So it's a really interesting visual that I created, and I sort of became inspired by because of my conversation with this person. And I was like, I'm really glad that we sort of figured this out. But at the same time, like, it's so important for people to understand the value in emotional intelligence and in boundaries and in reflection, because when you don't do this work, you become an emotional wrecking ball. And some people are going to be able to create that one-sided mirror, and they're going to have, and they might feel a little bit of the pain, like, because you gave to them, like, oh, that hurts, it's kind of gross. But if they have that understanding and that reflection, they're gonna be like, but this isn't mine, this is yours. And I'm having humility and grace and forgiveness because you hurt, you've been hurt probably, and that is where this is coming from, or you're being triggered by some decisions in my life. But not everyone has the abilities to do that. And a lot of the times the wrecking balls, they're gonna knock down the more fragile people. And obviously wrecking balls, like that metaphor, that analogy, those are machines that knock down like giant buildings. So I haven't really thought of that level of the symbolism, but I've always liked the term emotional wrecking ball, because I see it. I saw so many people like that, and it just breaks my heart, because I'm at the point that I know that they're the ones in pain, but the worst thing ever is to see them knock someone down and have no concept of it. And that person is just completely obsessed with like this pain, and they're like, oh, this person hates me, and this and this and this, and I just like, and they're just like feeling it all, and it's like, no, this isn't yours, this is theirs. And the more you react, the more they're giving it to you, and it's making it easier for them. And it's like, oh gosh, it's making it easier for them to keep doing that. So it's just, I really hope that people, you know, lead by example at the end of the day, but that, you know, my example and everyone else's example that's really reflecting and having these conversations with themselves and really enacting it in their lives, of those emotional wrecking balls, which is really anyone that's not doing this work, whether you think you are or not, so that those people can, you know, get their emotions reflected back to them, you know, just by your presence alone. Like, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but that's not my intention. And that's the end of the conversation, and that's like a big look in the mirror for people that are doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, I hope that example is able to inspire them, like, oh, I don't have to hit someone because I've been hit, you know, or I don't have to yell at someone because I've been yelled at, because it doesn't feel good. And I don't deserve to be yelled at, and I didn't deserve to be yelled at, and no one else does. Like, you know, you hope that your conversation with them can lead to conclusions like that and reflections. So, and that you can have those boundaries and that humility when you're looking at them, looking at themselves, and just be like, this, sure, it hurts when a rock is thrown at you, but at the end of the day, the person throwing it is probably carrying more than you are when you're able to reflect and have boundaries like that. So it's not an easy thing to learn, because I think it's so hard not to feel defensive, especially when it's people you really love and know. It's just like, you really think that they are straight up attacking you because they know you so well, that they have ammo, you know, they really do. But, you know, you don't, I feel like people that really understand communication and connection, they're not throwing insults at each other to have a better conversation. There's pain there that's driving it. So to be able to reflect and to step back and be like, ooh, this is coming from me and I'm throwing it at you, for both parties to be able to understand that, I think that's a really cool lesson that I learned from this conversation with my friend. So I'm really glad that we are sort of able to create that, because, you know, as we're getting into sort of our later, I don't know what part of my life, adolescence, adulthood, young adulthood, yeah, I guess that's a good term for it. You know, big decisions are made with relationships and families and kids and all these different things, and everyone is going to do it differently. And to be supportive of your family and your siblings with their decisions is going to be it's going to take constant reflection, because there's so many dynamics there that are like, well, I'm older and I know this and this, and you should be dating someone like me because I'm older, and you know, I still know more than you, and I'm your older this, and it's like, it's just all of those family dynamics and parenting and all these things rolled into, you know, passing judgment and just having a lot of feelings about your family members' decisions. And you can't control people at the end of the day. And so how do you create those boundaries and have those conversations and really accept each other's differences and love each other, and not just inflict pain that you're really feeling on your family members, or on your friends too. And so it's an interesting, it was an interesting thing that we came up with, and I think that it's a good starting point into sort of young adulthood and really loving, you know, my family and my friends with the decisions that they make, and trusting that they know what's best for them, and really working on not giving them pain that I have, and also not taking on pain that they have, and being able to reflect and comfort myself before I go out there and swing a wrecking ball around. So it was an interesting talk, but I kind of went a little bit around in circles in this. But that's just how my mind is working tonight. So, but I hope that you guys learned a lot. Just a kind of a shorter video today. Sometimes I think it's better. 15 minutes, especially if you're not like a podcaster. 15 minutes can be plenty. So, hope everyone has a great weekend. If they're off, or tomorrow's Friday, I don't know when I'm gonna post this though. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever day it is when I post it. I hope everyone has a great night, and I will talk to you later. Bye.